Good morning, everyone. So good to be back on. I was a little bit MIA for a while. I was doing a lot of traveling. So I thought I'd come on and share the recent update about my own health journey and share this really important part of your healing journey that isn't addressed often enough. And it's food sensitivities. Food sensitivities are such a serious problem. And this is why we have to be really, really diligent with our diet when we have candida and when we're healing leaky gut. So here I have my food allergy test. I got my food allergy test back. And I highly recommend you get a test done with your naturopath. Check for your food sensitivities, because if you continue eating foods that are triggering an allergic reaction and inflammation in the body, you're going to continue feeling like crap and you're going to continue setting yourself back. So to share a little bit about what was happening with me, about 3 years ago or so, I was in my top peak health ever. I had healed from Candida and I went traveling. And I was traveling for 9 months. I was traveling the world, and 4 of those months I spent in India. And there I couldn't eat any of my healthy foods. I ran out of my collagens and my bone broths, and I reinfected. I got Candida again. And it was bad this time. Once I came back to Canada, I had all my past symptoms. So I had severe hay fever. I woke up sneezing like thousands of times in a row, just so congested, so puffy all the time. I had this weird string goop coming out of my eyes, and tonsil stones. I was severely bloated and heavy and lethargic all the time. I had no energy. I was coping with an addiction to caffeine just to get through the day. It was bad. It was back when I had Candida the first time, 15 years ago. And it's been a 2-year journey, a 2-year process of healing again. I've done 5 Candida cleansers. I've done SIBO cleanse. I've got the parasite cleanse. And each time it keeps getting better, but I felt like I plateaued. And recently it was fatigue and bloating. And I don't have Candida anymore, but it was just this constant heavy rock in my gut and overall malaise and fatigue and bouts of depression. I'd go a week and feel great, and then all of a sudden I'd have really low lows where I had a really hard time finding energy to get up in the morning or even to be excited about life. There was just this malaise, overall malaise and hopelessness. And it was like a yo-yo. It was up and down, and I knew it was connected to my food. And this is what food allergies do to us. When we eat something that we're allergic to, we can have the same symptoms as a Candida infection or a SIBO infection. We can have the bloating, the digestive upset, and acid reflux as well. There can be body aches and pains, headaches, migraines. It can affect our mood and our emotions and the way we perceive reality. So it's a really like tangible, painful thing. So if you're on this Candida journey and you're doing all the work, but you're not being diligent with your diet, you're sabotaging yourself. And the thing is, we often crave the foods that we're allergic to. The foods that ignite an inflammatory response also trigger adrenaline, and it gives us a rush of energy at first because the immune system is being charged up, but then we get a low. And some of these foods, our reaction, it doesn't get triggered until 3 days later, 5 days, sometimes 7 days later. We can eat a piece of bread and feel great the next day, but all of a sudden a week later, we have a migraine, we're depressed, and our bones hurt, and we're trying to figure out why. What did we do? What happened? What did I do to feel like this? And it's actually a food we ate last week. So it's really important to get tested. And on that note, one of my symptoms also was itchy lips. When I would eat coffee, chocolate, and histamine-rich foods, I would get itchy lips, and if I continued to eat that food, the lining around my lips would get really red and swollen, and this rash would burst into this heat rash, burst out into my cheeks, into my scalp, and my head, my neck. It was terrible. And so getting your test results is such a good idea. So I'll share with you what my results were. And usually what happens when we have Candida is we develop leaky gut, because Candida lives in our digestive tract. And when it turns fungal, it grows roots, hyphae, through the digestive lining. And then we have holes in our gut lining that becomes porous. And the foods we eat end up passing through the gut lining into our bloodstream, and our body begins to identify it as a pathogen. And oftentimes when we have a fungal infection, our stomach acid also isn't so strong. We have depleted stomach acid, so the food that we eat doesn't actually fully get digested into its little micronutrients, right? So we have these big pieces of food making their way into our gut, into our body, through our gut lining into our body, and then the immune system reacting. So as long as we have leaky gut, we often develop sensitivities to the foods that we eat the most. So if you start your day off with eggs every single day, and you have for the last 10 years, and you've had Candida, most likely you developed an egg intolerance. If you have coffee with milk, most often you'll have developed an intolerance to coffee and milk, right? So it's often these foods that we eat often and nourish ourselves with that we can develop an intolerance to. So I had a really pretty clean diet, the standard anti-Candida diet, no grains, no legumes, really low sugar, and eating lots of healthy fats, kind of like this GAPS diet, paleo, autoimmune diet to heal leaky gut. Yet I still felt bloated and lethargic and depressed. And so I get my food allergy test back, and this is the IgG test. So the IgG food test is for food sensitivities, foods that you eat, and it takes a longer time for you to react, so about 5 days or 7 days. And on here, you can see there's a little red part. So this is like elevated foods. You're really allergic to this. Don't eat this. Then there's the borderline foods, and then like the green foods. So I'm lucky. I actually have a lot of foods in the green. There's just some in the red and some in the yellow. Some people with severe leaky gut who have a lot of red, and they're quite limited. So I'm lucky. But on here, I've got egg whites. I was eating eggs every day. I've got all the types of milk, so goat, cow, and sheep. So I was doing grass-fed butter. So now I've turned that into ghee. So I remove the casein and the lactose and the dairy basically from the ghee. Yeah. So I hope this is all like really inspiring for you to get a test. And really, this is just so eye-opening, right? So I've got egg whites on here. I have cashews, I have almonds, I have hazelnuts, I have sunflower seeds. I was eating all of that. I was eating almond butter and cashew butter. I was taking my Candida cleanser capsules with a handful of almonds. I was doing sunflower seed butters, homemade sunflower seed butters, thinking that like, yeah, this is healthy. But my body actually, that's in the red. Also potato and flaxseed. So I was doing a lot of flaxseed crackers, making my own home flaxseed breads. And there you go. It's in the elevated food. So every time I eat something in the red. So if you're unknowingly allergic to almonds or egg whites, and you're using that food, which is a healthy food, every single day, especially taking the Candida cleanser capsule, you're triggering a fight or flight response. You're triggering inflammation in your body. You're triggering your gut to become leaky and porous. So, and that inflammation and that reaction can last a week in your body. So you see now, like even like a slip up, one little slip up of a food that you're intolerant to can set you back, and you're going to be on this roller coaster, this loop of like not knowing why your symptoms are still there, because you've healed Candida, you're doing everything right, you're doing everything by the books, you're sticking to this diet, but it's not working. And it's because we need to figure out what serves our body. So oftentimes in the group, I see people asking, can I eat almonds? Can I eat this? Can I eat this? Asking, kind of throwing it to the community. Can I eat this? And our answer always is, well, I don't know. Can you? Can your gut eat this? Can your body handle it? And the best way to find out, the easiest way to find out, is through testing. And getting an IgG and IgE test. The IgE test is the food allergy test. So if you eat something, like when I would eat chocolate, I would get itchy right away around my lips, and sometimes that red rash would come up, and that would be instantaneous within 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. That's an IgE response. That's really quick. And often we can put two and two together and realize, oh, it's every time I eat, this food that I get that reaction. It's easier to test. Whereas the IgG is the long reaction. So a bloating maybe 5 days later. So it's good to get the two, the IgE and the IgG test from your naturopath. And the one setback with this though is to get your results a week or a month before your test, you have to eat all the foods that you think you're sensitive to. So if you think you're sensitive to eggplant, eat cabbage, because those foods, those proteins have to have been in your body within, I believe, 3 months of the test for accurate results. So I have a big green list, but I don't eat carp. I don't eat papaya often. Can't remember the last time I ate papaya. I might be allergic to papaya because I haven't eaten it in the last 3 months, right? So even though there's foods in the green, doesn't mean they're like, go ahead and eat it. It's just the foods that you've eaten within that time frame before your food allergy test, right? Does that make sense? If you have any questions at any time, feel free to comment. I'll do my best to answer. So that's one really, the food test is such an incredible tool because now you know what your body is actually accepting as food rather than an inflammatory allergic response. And so it's been a lifesaver ever since I cut out just a few things. It was really the nuts and the eggs. All of a sudden, that bloating is gone. I feel light in my belly. I have more vitality. My energy levels and my mood is much more stable. And it goes to show that it was those food allergies causing that the entire time. And so these food allergies, they develop over time with a leaky gut and with Candida. And it's not forever. There's good news. It's not that I'm going to have to avoid these foods forever or that you're going to have to avoid these foods forever. It's once we do the work of healing the gut and getting rid of the things that are causing leaky gut, like gut infections, we'll patch up that gut lining. We'll remove the foods that are causing the inflammation for at least 3 months. You want to give your body a nice big break. Then we can slowly start to introduce those foods again. And often we'll find that we can eat those foods. Our system will reset and it'll all be okay. So it's not forever. Don't worry. A lot of these food sensitivities are reversible. And this is why we are always recommending something like the GAPS diet, lots of broth, lots of ghee, reducing the carbs and the inflammatory foods to give your body the proper building blocks to repair that gut lining. And I believe about 2 weeks ago, I shared a video, the 4 steps to healing leaky gut and Candida. That's the 4R protocol: remove, replace, repair, and reinoculate. And recently, the Candida Cleanser company has released the leaky gut repair product. And it's basically a herbal formula that has slippery elm, allicin, aloe vera, and L-glutamine in it. And this is a great supplement to have to help heal leaky gut, before your Candida cleanser, during, and after. So you're providing your body the nutrients it needs to heal that gut lining and reverse the food intolerances. And someone asked a question of, do I really have to change my diet or can I just take the pills? And sorry guys, I wish it was that easy just to, take a capsule every single day and have everything fixed, but that's not the reality. That's not how healing takes place. It takes our active participation and devotion to change. It's these foods that we've grown literally an addiction to, these foods that cause allergies in our bodies, we're chemically addicted to. And it's really not about there's a level of healing that's really not about the food. It's about reclaiming your willpower, right? Getting out of victim mode of like, I can't eat my favorite eggs in the morning. Like, boo me. I can't eat Coke chocolate anymore. Like, I fell into that myself too, of like, well, I love chocolate. I can't have it. And I can't have eggs now. I love eggs and nuts. And we can fall into that. But we're so much more powerful than that, right? It's about reclaiming your willpower. And that food is not serving my body. And I love my body. I love my temple and I respect my body. So I use my willpower to choose to eat something different. I override my chemical habits, and over time, these patterns we create, they're also in our neurology, in our biology, in our neural networks, and breaking those habits It means taking the time and the effort to break those neural networks, to break that chemical addiction, and it takes time. So be really patient with yourself and really loving, knowing that this journey is so much more than food and diet. It's reclaiming yourself, reclaiming your vitality, reclaiming your willpower. And once you make it through, it gets easier. The first 10 days can be difficult, but know that it gets better. The inflammation comes down. You begin to get a glimpse at what it feels like on the other side, and then it's a lot easier. And then it's not deprivation anymore. It's not like there's no longing for that food anymore. It's like, oh, actually, I don't want that anymore. Hasn't been in your system for a while, and there just isn't the desire. The desire for foods that make you feel good is there instead. So there is a transition period of moving from feeling deprived and longing for the foods that we can't eat to then really enjoying the foods that are nourishing our body, because we recognize how good we feel, and it feels so much better to feel good than feel sick. So I hope this has inspired you to get a food allergy test done, especially if you've had long-term Candida and leaky gut and some of these symptoms that are persistent, brain fog, mental health issues. I had a woman who she thought she was like OCD, ADD OCD, and she really couldn't focus. But as soon as we cleaned out her diet, it's like her presence was there, her awareness was there. She could focus and be present with you, and she realized it was in a response to the food she was eating. And I noticed that switch in myself too. There was a time 2 months ago where I felt like I was crazy. My mind was such a monkey mind. Anytime I went to sit in meditation, it was just bombarded with thousands of thoughts. I was like, oh my God, when did this happen? Like, how did my mind get so busy? And then when I really became diligent in avoiding the foods in my elevated category, all of a sudden there was more peace in my mind. I can like meditate and go for longer periods of time with no thought, with peace, with like real inner peace. And so there's really, food is affecting so much of our lives and so many aspects of ourselves. We don't really realize this. And so this is why I highly urge being diligent with your diet, because it is affecting you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, how you connect with yourself, how you connect with the world. So stick to your diet. It's so worth it. Get a food allergy test done and do the GAPS diet. And whenever doing following a diet of sorts, always tune in with yourself of how is it affecting you. And food allergy tests can be pricey. This one was close to $300 Canadian, plus the visit to the naturopath, which is another $200. So it can add up. There's a way you can do a food allergy test without getting a test results, and it's called the elimination diet. It's removing foods from your diet for 21 days. So say you assume that you have an allergy to peppers or capsicums. You can remove peppers from your diet for 21 days, and then on on day 22, eat that food 3 times a day for 3 days, and then journal how you're feeling, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. And if anything changes, say all of a sudden that week when you introduced red peppers again, you broke out into itchy hives and you were exhausted, that's a good sign that that food actually isn't serving you anymore. So that's the purpose of an elimination diet, is to remove all the top allergens and any foods that you suspect you might be allergic to for a period of time, and then reintroduce them one by one. And this is essentially what the GAPS diet is. The GAPS diet is like an elimination diet on steroids, because you remove everything in the first stage and you just do broth. And then after that, you introduce one food at a time. And if you introduce something and all of a sudden symptoms, the body goes haywire, goes into chaos, it's okay. That food is not serving. And it takes a lot of patience and a lot of time and effort. And if you have that time, go for it. Otherwise, get an IgE and an IgG test. That will give you a really quick roadmap, blueprint of what food is actually serving you. So to wrap it up, Candida, if you have Candida, you inevitably have a leaky gut. And over time, leaky gut develops food sensitivities. So to heal, to come back to full vitality, we have to get rid of the pathogens in the gut. We have to heal leaky gut, and we have to heal our food intolerances. Otherwise, those symptoms are going to persist, and you're just going to continue feeling frustrated. And so I encourage you to, if you are feeling sorry for yourself, stop feeling sorry for yourself, reclaim your willpower and practice radical self-care, radical self-love. And a form of that self-love and self-care is devotion to the foods that serve you. I like to use devotion rather than dedication or discipline, because discipline kind of sounds like you did something wrong. I have to be disciplined. I get to be devoted. I'm going to devote myself to my healing. So if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the comment box. Make sure to tag me, because sometimes I don't see, if you don't tag me, it's not enough to just say AGA, do @AGA so that it pops up onto my notifications. So I'm so happy for all of you who are joining this group and learning about Candida. And if you have any questions, feel free to tag me. It's about food sensitivities or leaky gut. Wishing you happy healing and devotion to your healing journey. Take care.